Welcome back to The Testament of Sister New Devil, Part 7. This I'm reviewing the last official thing released for the anime. This was released almost 2 years ago. This is Departures, the third OVA. This one loosely adapts Book 8. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the original novel, basically, they cut out. I would say the beginning of the OVA, that's mostly canon right there. But a lot of this thing is completely made up on the fly. Despite the fact most of this OVA is original, it is actually a really good OVA. Like, I would definitely say that the studio, despite the fact the studio is currently out of business now, they did a really good job with this OVA. I kind of wish we had a third season. Probably, I would suggest basically doing a more faithful adaptation of this light novel. This one loosely adapts it. A lot of this stuff in here is mostly anime original. Then he opens up with Basara talking to Ramses. Before I continue, this particular OVA was never dubbed. I have no idea why, but yet they did dub the first two OVAs, but not this one for some reason. Yes. Oh, in case you wonder what the runtime for this OVA is 48 minutes. Which makes it the longest thing for the anime release so far. And as for the case season 2, almost like half the season, I would say almost the entire season, except for like 1 or 2 episodes, is most about 25 and a half minutes. Yeah, well, this one's like about 48 minutes long. Yeah. I'm not sure why this wasn't dubbed. It's not really a big bother. I mean, I love the dubcast they did for the series. This one, well, it seems like they just cut a lot of stuff out. But I'll talk more about that in a minute. What actually happened in the action light novel itself. Yeah, Urbosa talks to Ramses briefly. It's implied Ramses might actually be Wilbert, but he says he calls Wilbert, and he doesn't really say anything about it. Also, Maria's sister, Rukia, is a little more nicer than she is in the actual season. In the actual season itself, she was kind of a bit meanish, but she actually is seen hanging out with her mother, which is quite nice in the episode. But that's not the only scene we have. We also have a scene with the village elders for the hero village, where they don't like what happened during the end of the previous season where Basara interfered. Like, if he didn't interfere, there were a lot of people who would have died, you bunch of idiots. And apparently, is it just me, or the elders just like the stupid council from Demon Realm? Yeah, they're written to be the same way. A bunch of pig-headed nonsense morons. Yeah. So, we have it where, like, and we cut to Basara, his group, where they're having their daily, let's just say, pleasure in the bath. Like, everybody's getting pleasured. And then we have it where, like, we decided to go, let's go to the water park despite the fact it's cold outside. Look up to go to the one that's actually inside. Yeah, in case you're wondering, is there anything like this here? Not where I live. No, most of all the water parks is outside. This is inside, which, not the first anime I've seen like this, where they go to like indoor water park. I think like the last one I saw like this was Gintama. Yeah. But this is the third time basically where I've seen anime and they go to a water park. The only time I think this has happened was actually for an OVA for Fairy Tail. Yes. This happened from a Fairy Tail OVA. That was the only other time I can think of. Yeah, 2 out of 3 times happened during an OVA. Gintama happened during the actual regular series itself. And they just have just pure fun. We see the girls in wonderful swimsuits. I mean, it was expected. Heck, we see Zest in one. Oh yeah, everybody is like in awe and how all the swimsuits. And Maria, of course, is wearing one piece. Yep. Zest is wearing one that shows up her cleavage. Like, everyone else basically wears good ones. And Maria, of course, basically does the usual thing, try to record everybody and to take pictures. Until she runs into a security guard while basically following Mayo and Basara. Oh yeah, and here's kind of the thing. The reason why they went to the water park, it was they were asked, like, apparently his teacher is the smoking hot nurse decided to tag along, and she's wore even more skimpier swimsuit. She's basically barely wearing anything, and like at one point she trips and nearly falls on Basara, and it looked like they were gonna make out in public, but nothing happens. Yep. Oh yeah, and I love it where, like, okay, so Mayo jumps in, comes up, and her top almost comes off. Look at Basra basically is there just to cover her, just basically block of his body, and Brett Maria basically from getting like skimpy photos. Yep. While everybody else basically is off doing whatever. Also, I should point out though, Yuki looks like she's wearing like two bottoms for some reason. I don't know why she's doing this for. It's weird. I've never seen like this. I've seen some in series basically where like the bottom looks like a skirt. Yeah, I've seen that before in some other series, but this is nothing really new here. And like, and of course, well, they don't show Basara pleasuring Mio when she is basically like, let's just say, overreacting, where she really needs to be pleasured. So they had to run and do something secluded, and look how they did. In a place where probably nobody probably saw them. He had to do really quickly. He had to jump in the water to do this. Okay, and then they go outside, and then they're basically given basically a message by a sender. We look like they attack them, and they're given a summons to the village. Just Kurumi, Yuki, Mio, and Basara. All because the idiot village elders doesn't like what he did, because he interfered in demonic affairs. He had to, because it interfered with his job protecting Mio. Hopefully he explains that to them. So they think like, yeah, we better go. And of course he's thinking about possibly going by himself. Luckily enough, he's basically very mopey about it. Him and Yuki are basically very mopey throughout the second half of this OVA. And despite that, he's basically agrees to go with chose to go to the hot springs for a date. Yep. Oh, in case you're wondering, like, is there more to this in the light novel, this date in the hot springs? Oh, yes, there is a heck of a lot more that happens here. Like, they basically give him a full weekend. Not like 2 days like they do here. Like, I think the light novel did a lot better job with this than the OVA did. Also, they cut a lot of the slice of life stuff they did for the light novel. The whole water park thing, that's anime original. That never happened in the light novel. Yeah, that one basically was, well, possibly an upgrade to the actual house that the people that they live in, and of course they try and spend almost all Mio's money just to buy this one house. But how they can maintain electricity or whatever? Yeah. Also, apparently the house is now like 3 stories, and it's never mentioned exactly why it's like this for. Because I think before it was originally just 2 stories, but because they have like 3 people living there, because it was originally just in the series just Basara, Mio, and Maria. These 3 all stay there, and of course Yuki moved in, and then Kurumi and Zest moved in. Yep. Yeah, it's never explained why in the OVA that it's like this. The reason why it's like this in the book, because they actually did an upgrade to the actual house itself. Here, never mentioned. Not at all. They cut it out of the thing. Yeah, oh, in case you're wondering what happened during the Chozuko and Tundra weekend, well, basically during that, they formed the Master-Servant Pact, and they had sort of a lot of, let's say, they had a very long sexual encounter. Yep. This lasted for about 2 days. Yeah. And of course they go to the springs. Basically it was like a weekend getaway, basically, in the light novel. While here it's just a couple days. Yep. Oh yeah, in case you're wondering, like, did they make out in the light novel during this hot spring trip? Yes. They do. They make out. And they have their own fun. Yeah. Yeah, and of course, well, then we have Basara basically fighting Lars. Well, first he meets up with Lars because he's very mopey as he comes back from his trip with Chozuko. Meets up with Lars. Then they go out to the barbecue place they went to. I think it was back. They went. This is the same place they went to. I think it was in like episode. I think it was 5. I think it was of the first season for the show. That's the last time they were here. And they just basically have some barbecue. They have some meat. Then they go to the place they went to back in episode 4, where they have a fight. And they stop time, and of course they go to Hero Village. Basara fights basically Evil Verge himself. And sort of in a way beats Lars, but doesn't really kill him. Basically it was like kind of like a sparring match, basically to wake him up. And he gets home, and of course they talk about like wedding, because of course when they went to that water park. There was a wedding there, so they figured out why not sort of like a wedding dress thing. And in case you're wondering, did this have a light novel? No, it never did. But it's quite nice. I don't mind this at all. I mean, all the characters dressing up for this, and of course it's shown later on during the ending credits. They actually took a picture with all the girls wearing wedding dresses, imply they might have all wanted to marry Basara. All of them, including the two sisters. Which, that's another thing, basically. Something also apparently has common with High School DxD. The main character marries two sisters. Well, at least that's what it seems like anyways, but yeah. They doesn't look like they're gonna be pleasured. It kind of did, but they don't really show it. They don't go any further than it. Yeah, and apparently, Mayo, Yuki, and Zest basically their curse activates, and they have to pledge like, okay, let's just pledge you all like he did at the end of the season. Goes to the room, imply he did it, and of course they take a picture. Wake up next day, they all dressed, they're all ready to go, not their normal attires they normally wear. And of course, Maria's carrying this big, huge backpack. Now, normally, a girl her size would not be able to carry this damn thing. But the thing is, Maria is a succubus, and succubuses are known for, basically, from what I've seen of them, they're known for having super strength. So, this is perfectly natural for her to do. And she's able to get out the door, and of course, they have a little bit of a quick breakfast made by Mio. And this is another thing made for this OVA, where apparently she's good at cooking, even though in the light novel she's very nervous. She doesn't really cook very much in the books, as I've seen anyways. Most of the cooking was mostly handled by Maria, or in the case of this one, it was handled by Zest. And I love what it did at the beginning of this. Like, they all, like, volunteered. Like, they made a suggestion, like, I'll make breakfast, like, and of course Zest's like, okay, why don't we all take turns making breakfast? And they all asked Basara, who was their master, except for, Kurumi. Kurumi and Maria, these two are not under this point of the Master Sword Pack. They will. I won't say when, but they will. And Basara's like, it's okay. Sounds good to me. Yeah, and of course, Maya was her turn. And then, of course, we have the ending credits roll while the OVA is still going on. And of course, everybody walk outside, and they all walk back to the village. Plus, before that, we also have this great moment before the whole wedding dress thing, where Yuki is moping the bathroom, and it's Maya was the one who basically comforts her and brings her out of it. And basically, that's the idea of the wedding dress, like, right after that. This OVA overall was really good. Despite the fact it loosely adapted the 8th light novel, it did from the stuff they actually brought from the light novel, they did a pretty good job with this. I think they cut a lot of the original light novel. In case you wonder how many chapters was this book was like 3 chapters. I'm like, really? 3 chapters? Yeah, 3 chapters. The book itself was only 328 pages. Yes. In my opinion, if there's a season 3 for the show, if I were whoever the studio is, basically is going to pick up the rights to adapt this particular series, I would have a little more faithful adaptation of the light novel of Volume 8. I would do that, plus Volume 9, and I would just do maybe 10. That's if they want to. I would just basically, instead of just having go book 10, I would just basically make the season a little bit long, more to like 10 or 12 episodes, make it like about 15 or 20, and also adapt book 6, that book, because you only adapt like one section of that book. Yeah. But yeah, not much else to say, but it's good. I enjoyed it. I didn't like the stuff they cut off in the original light novel, because I read it prior to watching the season. The light novel is really good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a thoroughly good book. Despite how short the book was, it was a pretty enjoyable book, okay? So yeah, that's it for this particular review. Well, because I'm done with this particular series, it's back to Inuyasha. Yep. But what series am I going to do after finish up the next season? The series that, believe it or not, is made by the same person who made this series. Yeah. And it's called Asakusa of a Rogue Hero. Yeah, I'm going to be doing that after I finish up Season 4 for Inuyasha. Before I get to Season 4, I'm going to work on the very first film of Inuyasha. Yep. That probably soon, per se. probably the next couple hours. Okay, do you next view. Bye.